Welcome to Under the Hood, a detailed look at our investing process. We've used OptionAlpha.com to develop the bots that automate our entire investing process. The entire trading system is made up of two bots, investments and notifications. Under the settings menu in the investment bot, you'll find 6 automations. Puts only with Delta Adjust runs every 15 minutes during the trading day. Checks the status of the market, and then looks to launch a new trade that expires tomorrow. Market Crash Monitor runs every 15 minutes all day long. If the current value of XSP is 2% or more lower than the opening value, it suspends trading for the day and notifies you. This trade suspension does not reset automatically. You will need to click on the Reset Market Crash button on the dashboard to clear this suspension. Market direction combines 2 indicators to give us a sense of where the market is headed for tomorrow. Results from this automation are used in the loss mitigation automation to determine if the supplemental trade is appropriate or not. Gap Monitor looks at the opening value of the underlying asset and determines if it gapped in one direction or the other since the previous day's close. If it has gapped more than 1% in either direction, it suspends trading for the day. This condition resets every day automatically and can be overridden by clicking on the Reset Gap Monitor button on the dashboard menu. The Put Loss Mitigation automation submits a supplemental trade designed to put some additional cash into the account to counteract the impact of a loss. It only submits a trade if it has been manually armed earlier in the day. The user clicks on the Arm Loss Mitigation button found on the dashboard to arm it. It runs at 350 each day. FOMC CPI earnings check runs at the open of each market day and helps us avoid having money in the market around the reporting days for the Federal Open Market Committee, the Consumer Price Index, earnings, and ex-dividend dates. These events can cause the market to spike unpredictably in one direction or another, and we don't want any financial exposure when it does. At the bottom of the settings menu, you'll find a list of bot inputs. You can modify the power switch and the Friday trade switch directly on this screen. To modify the other inputs, click on the pencil icon in the upper right corner. A detailed explanation of each of these inputs can be found in Appendix B of the 2024 Process Update found below. On the dashboard menu, you'll find 3 buttons: Reset Gap Monitor, Arm Loss Mitigation, and Reset Market Crash. If the underlying asset has gapped at the open, you can reset the gap monitor here if you want to continue normal trading for the day. Otherwise, it will reset itself at the beginning of the next trading day. If you had a loss in the last 3 trading days, simply click on the Arm Loss Mitigation button. The system will automatically launch a supplemental trade at 3:50 Eastern Time in an attempt to recoup some or all of the loss. Depending on the size of the loss, you may need to do this multiple days in a row as long as the market continues in a downward trend. If the market is no longer in a downward trend, the system blocks the supplemental trade and notifies you of the change in direction of the market. If the system thinks the market is crashing, it suspends trading until you manually restart it by clicking on the Reset Market Crash. This condition does not automatically reset itself each trading day and will continue to block trading until you manually reset it. Now we'll take a look inside a couple of important automations. The Puts Only with Delta Adjust automation opens 2 new trades each day, one between 10 and 11:30 Eastern Time in the morning, and one between 3 and 3:45 in the afternoon. If the underlying asset is trending down, this bot adjusts the short put leg delta from -10 to -0.05 to provide some additional distance between the underlying asset price and the put short leg strike price. The additional distance increases the likelihood of a winning trade from 97% to 99%. In addition, it checks all the conditions you see here prior to attempting to open a trade, as they too affect the probability of success. If for some reason the order doesn't get filled, it will try again in 15 minutes. The put loss mitigation goes through exactly the same process as the puts only with delta adjust, with the exception that it places a call spread rather than a put spread. Kirk's philosophy on counteracting losses is to invest in the opposite side from the loss. Since it is assumed that the loss came as a result of a put spread, selling a call spread makes sense as long as the market's continuing in a downward trend. If we determine we are not in a declining market, the automation does not launch a new trade and notifies you. This automation checks 4 different reporting scenarios and suspends trading around these events. The Federal Open Market Committee meeting occurs 6 times a year. This is when Jerome Powell speaks. We lose 12 days total around these meetings, the last day of the meeting and the day after, to allow the market to stabilize. The Consumer Price Index reports come out the middle of each month at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We lose a total of 24 days around these events. If the underlying asset declares dividends, that will occur 4 times a year, and we'll lose 8 days around those events. Note that XSP is an index, and as such does not declare dividends, so those 8 days are trading days for XSP. And finally, earnings reports come out 4 times a year, and so we would lose 8 days around those events. So for indexes like XSP, you will lose a total of 44 trading days. If you're trading some other kind of asset, like an ETF, you'll lose 52 trading days. If the automation determines that none of these things are happening, it sets a bot tag indicating that the FOMC, CPI, and earnings check has passed. These checks help us avoid having money in the market when the potential for high volatility exists. Stability is the key to our profitability. Finally, the notifications bot is set up solely to keep you posted on the status of the market during the trading day. It will send a message to whatever email account you have registered with Option Alpha. I have mine going to my phone so I can keep track without having to be logged in. So that's under the hood. If you want to see the actual Option Alpha code that implements all of this, simply sign up at www.optionalpha.com for their 30-day free trial, and I'll share the bots with you free of charge. Our only requirements are that you've read Lee Feinberg's book, The Monthly Income Machine, and that you trade our process 6 months in paper to get your feet under you before going live with real money. So that's our journey into the weeds. Thanks for watching.